The night shift at NASA's Deep Space Monitoring Station was usually quiet. Tom Miller sipped his coffee, watching the usual stream of data flow across his screens. He'd done this job for 15 years, and most nights blended into each other like stars in the Milky Way. But this night was different. At first, it was just a small anomaly, a spike in energy readings from beyond Neptune's orbit. Tom almost dismissed it as equipment malfunction, but then the readings grew stronger. Within minutes, every sensor in the solar system was lighting up like Christmas trees. "Hey, Jack, come look at this," Tom called to his supervisor. Jack Wilson walked over, his own coffee cup in hand. As he leaned over Tom's shoulder, his cup slipped from his fingers and crashed to the floor. "Call everyone. Now." Jack's voice was steady, but his face had gone pale. Within an hour, the station was buzzing with activity. Scientists and military personnel crowded around monitors, watching as massive energy signatures appeared at the edge of their solar system. These weren't natural phenomena. They were organized, structured, and moving with purpose. The President of the United States was awakened at 3:47 a.m. Eastern Time. By 4:15 a.m., he was in the Situation Room, surrounded by his top military and scientific advisors. Similar scenes played out in capitals across the globe. "What exactly are we looking at?" the President asked, his eyes fixed on the satellite imagery being projected on the main screen. Dr. Roberts, the lead scientist from NASA, cleared his throat. "Sir, these energy signatures match nothing in our database. They're artificial, incredibly powerful, and," he paused, "they're slowing down." The energy signatures began to coalesce into solid forms. Through their most powerful telescopes, they could see them now, ships, dozens of them, each larger than anything humanity had ever built. Their surfaces gleamed with an otherworldly metal, catching and reflecting the distant sunlight. The military leaders began discussing defense options, but everyone knew their missiles and fighters would be useless against vessels that could cross interstellar space. This was technology centuries, perhaps millennia, beyond Earth's capabilities. The first transmission arrived 18 hours after the initial detection. It came simultaneously to every major radio telescope and communication center on Earth. The message was simple and clear, transmitted in over 700 Earth languages. "Attention inhabitants of Sol 3. Remain calm. The Galactic Empire approaches. Prepare for contact." Global stock markets went into freefall. Religious leaders called for peace and unity. Military forces worldwide went on high alert, even knowing their weapons would be useless. Social media exploded with theories, fears, and jokes, humanity processing its fear through humor. At the United Nations, an emergency session was called. For the first time in history, every nation agreed on one thing. They needed to present a united front. Old enemies set aside their differences in the face of this new reality. They had hours, at most, to prepare for humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. The ships moved closer, passing Jupiter's orbit in a matter of hours. Their speed and precision made Earth's best spacecraft look like stone tools in comparison. Leading the fleet was a vessel that dwarfed all others, a massive structure that seemed to bend space around it as it moved. In underground bunkers and secret facilities around the world, scientists worked frantically to analyze every bit of data they could gather from the approaching fleet. They noticed something odd: patterns in the energy emissions that seemed familiar, yet fundamentally different from anything they'd seen before. As the sun set over New York, where the UN had gathered in emergency session, the fleet entered Mars orbit. Humanity held its collective breath. In less than 12 hours, they had gone from being alone in the universe to facing a massive alien armada. Tom Miller, still at his post in the Deep Space Monitoring Station, watched the readings with a mixture of fear and awe. "You know," he said to no one in particular, "I always wondered if we were alone out there. Guess we got our answer." Little did the approaching empire know, they were about to get an answer of their own, one that would change their view of this primitive world forever. The first contact, that would shape humanity's destiny was about to begin. The Imperial diplomatic vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere like a falling star. At 20 miles above the surface, it was larger than any aircraft humanity had ever built. Its silver hull reflected the morning sunlight, creating a display that could be seen from 3 continents. The chosen landing site was a cleared area near Geneva, Switzerland. The UN had selected this neutral location after hours of heated debate. Military forces from 30 nations surrounded the area, their weapons ready but lowered, a gesture of peace that everyone knew was largely symbolic. Dr. James Porter watched from the command center as the massive ship settled onto the landing pad with impossible grace. As the head of Earth's hastily assembled first contact team, his heart raced with equal parts excitement and fear. "Energy readings are off the charts," reported Mary Thompson, his chief technical advisor. She pointed to her tablet, showing him the readings. "Their gravity control technology alone is centuries ahead of ours." But something about the readings caught James's attention. There was a pattern, something familiar in the way their technology interacted with Earth's magnetic field. He made a note to investigate it later. The ship's landing ramp extended, touching Earth's soil for the first time. The assembled crowd of diplomats, military leaders, and scientists held their breath. Out stepped what could only be described as the Empire's diplomatic team. They were humanoid, but that's where the similarities ended. Their height, nearly 8 feet tall, made the human welcoming committee look like children. Their skin had a metallic sheen, and their movements were unnaturally smooth. "Greetings, representatives of Earth," the lead alien spoke in perfect English. "I am High Envoy White of the Galactic Empire." They had chosen to use simple color designations rather than their actual names, believing it would be easier for humans to comprehend. As the formal greetings began, military satellites detected more Imperial ships entering the solar system. These weren't diplomatic vessels. They were warships, taking up strategic positions around Earth's orbit. In underground bunkers worldwide, analysts worked frantically to understand the Empire's technology. Every scan, every reading, every bit of data was precious. Dr. Thompson noticed something peculiar about their energy signatures. "Dr. Porter," she whispered during a break in the diplomatic talks, "their quantum field emissions, they're using a completely different paradigm than what we theorized. It's like they took a different evolutionary path in quantum computing." The high envoy's voice was smooth and confident as they presented the Empire's credentials. They spoke of peace, of integration, of lifting humanity into a new age of prosperity. But beneath the pleasant words, there was an unmistakable tone of superiority. "Your civilization has achieved much," High Envoy White said, gesturing to the city beyond. "But under Imperial guidance, you could achieve so much more." During the tour of the facility, Dr. Porter noticed how the Imperial delegates seemed almost amused by Earth's technology. They smiled indulgently at humanity's best computers, their most advanced aircraft, their proudest achievements. But Porter couldn't shake the feeling about those energy readings. While the diplomats talked, he sent a secure message to quantum research facilities around the globe. "Check for quantum field inversions in their tech. Something's different about their approach." The day progressed with tours, talks, and demonstrations of Imperial technology that left most observers in awe. But a small group of scientists, led by Dr. Thompson, worked tirelessly in the background, analyzing every scrap of data. As the sun set over Geneva, the Imperial delegates returned to their ship, promising to return the next day for more discussions. But the warships above told a different story. This wasn't just a diplomatic mission. It was a show of force. "They're not here to welcome us," Dr. Porter said to his team after the delegates left. "They're here to absorb us. But they've made one critical mistake." He looked at the latest analysis of their quantum field readings. "They think they know everything about how technology should work. They're about to learn otherwise." The Empire's approach had been meant to awe and intimidate Earth. Instead, it had given humanity its first glimpse at a weakness they never expected to find. The morning sun had barely risen over Geneva when the Imperial ships began their display. Massive holograms appeared in the skies over every major city on Earth, showing High Envoy White's towering figure looking down upon humanity. People of Earth, the envoy's voice boomed in every language simultaneously. The Galactic Empire has observed your civilization and reached a decision. You will be integrated into the Empire. This is not a request. In the UN Emergency Chamber, Dr. Porter watched alongside world leaders as the Empire laid out their terms. His hands clenched into fists as he listened. You have 48 Earth hours to accept our terms, the envoy continued. Your technology will be upgraded. Your governments will be restructured. Your resources will serve the greater good of the Empire. Resistance would be a pause for effect, unfortunate. Above their heads, Imperial warships moved into attack positions. Their weapons systems hummed with enough power to level cities. It was a clear message: submit or be destroyed. But in an underground facility beneath the Swiss Alps, Dr. Thompson made a breakthrough. She burst into the secure conference room where Dr. Porter was briefing military leaders. "James," she exclaimed, forgetting protocol in her excitement. "Look at this." She slammed her tablet onto the table. The display showed complex quantum field analyses of the Imperial ships. Their entire technology base, she explained, pointing to key readings. It's built on standard quantum mechanics. They never discovered quantum field inversion. The military leaders looked confused, but Dr. Porter's eyes widened. "Our primitive approach to quantum computing," he said slowly, "it's completely foreign to them. They don't even know it's possible." While the politicians argued about surrender terms, the scientists worked frantically. They had discovered something extraordinary. The Empire's advanced technology had a fundamental blind spot. In Washington, Beijing, Moscow, and other capitals, leaders received urgent briefings. The quantum physics breakthrough was explained in simple terms. Earth's unique approach to quantum computing made it possible to affect Imperial technology in ways they couldn't defend against. "They're so advanced," Dr. Thompson explained to the UN Security Council via secure video link, "that they never explored alternative paths. They think they know everything about how technology works. But we found another way." The Empire's ultimatum continued to echo across the planet. They showed images of their mighty fleets, their advanced worlds, their power. But with each demonstration, Earth's scientists gathered more data. In the quantum research lab, Dr. Porter stared at test results that could change everything. "They're shields," he muttered. "They can't block what they don't understand." With 30 hours remaining on the ultimatum, humanity made its decision. Not to surrender, but to prepare a demonstration of their own. Dr. Porter drafted a message to the Empire. "We request a final meeting to discuss the terms of our integration." The Empire, confident in their absolute superiority, agreed. In the background, quantum computers across Earth spun up, their calculations based on principles the Empire had never imagined. Scientists worked through the night, military personnel stood ready, and world leaders held their breath. "Do you think this will work?" Dr. Thompson asked as they prepared for the meeting. Dr. Porter looked up at the Imperial ships through the window, their massive forms blocking out the stars. "They expect us to either submit or fight conventionally. They're not prepared for a third option." As the deadline approached, humanity readied its response. It would not be the response of a primitive civilization cowering before superior technology. It would be the response of a species that had found its own path to the stars. The Empire had made its ultimatum clear, but they were about to learn that humanity had an answer they never expected. In 24 hours, the galaxy's greatest power would learn why it was dangerous to underestimate Earth. Deep beneath the Swiss Alps, Dr. Thompson stared at her computer screen in disbelief. The quantum simulation she'd been running for 6 hours had finally finished, and the results were stunning. "It's not just that our approach is different," she said to Dr. Porter, who stood behind her. It's that our entire understanding of quantum mechanics took a path they never considered. The lab hummed with activity as scientists from every major nation worked together. Decades of competing quantum research programs had suddenly become humanity's greatest asset. Each country had developed slightly different approaches to quantum computing, and now they were combining them all. "Look at this," Dr. Porter said, pointing to a holographic display. It showed the energy signature of an imperial shield. Their defensive systems are based on what they call standard quantum fields, but Earth's quantum computers operate on inverted fields. To their sensors, our signals look like background noise. Military advisors gathered around as Dr. Thompson explained in simple terms. Imagine two people speaking different languages. The Empire's technology is like someone who only understands one language. They're so convinced it's the only right way that they never bothered to learn others. But we're speaking a quantum language they don't even know exists. In secure facilities around the world, engineers began modifying Earth's quantum computers. What the Empire saw as primitive machines were being transformed into weapons that could pierce their supposedly impenetrable defenses. Admiral Baker, the highest-ranking military officer present, scratched his head. "So you're telling me their fancy shields won't stop our quantum signals because they don't even recognize them as signals?" "Exactly," Dr. Porter replied. "It's like trying to stop a radio wave with a concrete wall. The wall might be incredibly strong, but it's useless against something that can pass right through it." The breakthrough sparked a flurry of activity. In Japan, quantum computers were modified to emit focused beams of inverted quantum fields. In Brazil, scientists developed ways to precisely target imperial systems. In India, engineers found ways to temporarily disable imperial technology without destroying it. "We don't need to match their firepower," Dr. Thompson explained to the UN Security Council. "We just need to show them that all their advanced technology has a critical weakness." The Empire, meanwhile, continued their shows of force. Their massive ships cast shadows over Earth's cities, their energy weapons clearly visible. They remained completely unaware that their greatest strength was about to become their greatest vulnerability. Dr. Porter reviewed the final calculations. The plan was elegant in its simplicity. They would build a device that could temporarily disable an imperial ship's systems using Earth's unique quantum approach. Not to destroy, but to demonstrate. "A warning shot," Admiral Baker called it. "Show them we can hurt them without actually doing any permanent damage." In the lab, Dr. Thompson made the final adjustments to their prototype device. It looked deceptively simple, just a small array of quantum processors connected to a directional antenna. The Empire would probably laugh if they saw it. "They expect us to either surrender or try to fight them with conventional weapons," Dr. Porter said, examining the device. "This will show them there's a third option they never considered." The team worked through the night, running simulation after simulation. Each test confirmed what they'd discovered. Imperial shields were completely blind to Earth's quantum signals. Their advanced technology, developed over thousands of years, had a fundamental gap in its defenses. As dawn broke over the Alps, Dr. Porter sent word to the UN. The device was ready. Humanity had found not just a weakness in the Empire's defenses, but proof that their primitive approach to technology had led them down a path the Empire had never explored. "Tomorrow," Dr. Thompson said, looking at their creation, "we show the Empire that they don't know everything about how the universe works." The device was small, unimpressive to look at, but it represented humanity's greatest achievement, the ability to find new paths, to think differently, and to surprise those who underestimated them. Earth's secret weapon wasn't its military might or advanced technology. It was humanity's capacity to think differently than anyone else in the galaxy. The meeting chamber in Geneva's Palais des Nations had been converted into humanity's last stand. Dr. Porter stood before the assembled Imperial delegation, the small quantum device hidden in a briefcase beside him. High envoy white towered over the human representatives, their metallic skin gleaming under the chamber's lights. "Your time has expired," they announced. "What is your response to the Empire's generous offer?" Dr. Porter glanced at Dr. Thompson, who sat at a control terminal nearby. She gave him a slight nod. All quantum systems worldwide were ready and synchronized. Before we give our answer, Dr. Porter said, his voice steady, we would like to demonstrate something about Earth's technology. The Imperial delegates exchanged amused looks. High Envoy White's lips curled into what might have been a smile. You wish to show us your primitive achievements. Very well. We shall indulge this request. In orbit, the Empire's largest destroyer moved into position above Geneva, its weapon systems powered down in a show of confident superiority. They had agreed to this demonstration, thinking it would only serve to highlight humanity's technological inadequacy. What you're about to see, Dr. Porter continued, opening his briefcase, is just a small example of how Earth approaches problems differently than the Empire. The Imperial delegates leaned forward, probably expecting to see some crude mechanical device. The quantum transmitter looked simple enough, a small box with a few blinking lights. Dr. Thompson's fingers flew across her keyboard, entering the final commands. Quantum computers around the world spun up, their processors operating in perfect harmony. We understand that the Empire believes they have mastered all possible forms of technology, Dr. Porter said, his hand hovering over the device's activation switch. But Earth has discovered something you overlooked. High Envoy White's amusement was clear. Your species is young. You cannot hope to match technologies we have perfected over millennia. Dr. Porter pressed the switch. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, alerts began blaring from the Imperial delegates' communication devices. High Envoy White's expression shifted from amusement to confusion. On the main display screen, everyone watched as the massive Imperial destroyer above Geneva suddenly went dark. Its gravity generators, shields, and main systems all ceased functioning simultaneously. What is this? High Envoy White demanded, their composure cracking for the first time. This, Dr. Porter said calmly, is Earth's warning. We've temporarily disabled your ship using quantum field technology that your sensors can't detect or block. The effect will wear off in exactly 1 minute, causing no permanent damage. The Imperial delegates erupted in a chaos of angry voices and demands. High Envoy White stared at the small device in shocked silence. Your ships are vulnerable to our quantum field inversions, Dr. Thompson explained, her voice clear over the commotion. We could have permanently disabled your vessel. Instead, we chose to demonstrate our capability without causing harm. True to their word, exactly 1 minute later, the Imperial destroyer systems came back online. The ship's crew would find everything functioning normally, but the message had been sent. Impossible, one of the Imperial scientists muttered, scanning the quantum device with their advanced sensors. Our systems show no weapon was fired, no energy was deployed. Exactly, Dr. Porter said. You can't detect or defend against what you don't understand. Earth may be young, but we've discovered principles of quantum mechanics that your empire never considered. High Envoy White had regained their composure, but their voice carried a new note of respect and fear. You understand this demonstration could be considered an act of war. No, Dr. Porter replied firmly. This is a demonstration of peace. We could have destroyed your ship. Instead, we showed restraint. Earth does not want war with the Empire. We want to be left alone to develop in our own way. The message was clear. Earth might be technologically behind in many areas, but they had found a way to bypass the Empire's greatest defenses. The choice now lay with the Empire: respect Earth's independence, or risk facing technology they couldn't understand or counter. The warning had been delivered. Now they would see how the Empire would respond. The tension in Geneva's air could be cut with a knife. After Earth's initial warning, the Empire had requested a full demonstration of the quantum technology. They claimed it was to verify Earth's claims. Everyone knew they were really looking for a weakness. Very well, High Envoy White announced from their command ship. Demonstrate your capability against our newest destroyer, the Imperial Dawn. Its shields are the strongest in our fleet. Dr. Porter and Dr. Thompson exchanged knowing looks. The Empire still didn't understand. Stronger shields made no difference against technology they couldn't detect. The Imperial Dawn moved into position, its massive form blocking out the sun over Lake Geneva. Its shields shimmed with power, creating ripples in the air that were visible from the ground. All quantum systems synchronized, Dr. Thompson reported, her fingers dancing across her control panel. Global network is ready. In secure facilities around the world, quantum computers hummed to life. This time, they would demonstrate the full extent of Earth's capabilities, not just shutting down one system, but selective targeting of specific ship functions. Beginning demonstration, Dr. Porter announced to both human and Imperial observers. The first phase targeted the Imperial Dawn's weapon systems. One by one, the massive energy cannons went dark. The Empire's engineers scrambled to understand what was happening, but their sensors showed no incoming attacks, no energy signatures they could detect. Impossible, the Imperial Dawn's commander shouted over the comm channel. Our systems report no failures, yet nothing responds. Dr. Thompson initiated Phase 2. The Imperial Dawn's artificial gravity began to fluctuate in precise patterns. Up became down, then sideways, then normal again. The ship's crew struggled to maintain their footing. "How are you doing this?" High Envoy White demanded, their composed facade cracking. "Our sensors detect nothing." "That's exactly the point," Dr. Porter explained calmly. "Your technology is advanced, but it's based on only one approach to quantum mechanics. We found another path, one your sensors can't even detect." To drive the point home, Dr. Thompson activated the final phase. The Imperial Dawn's mighty engines began to fire in a complex dance, making the massive ship write Earth in giant letters against the sky. The display lasted for exactly 5 minutes. Then, just as before, all systems returned to normal. The Imperial Dawn hung in the sky, fully functional but fundamentally changed. Its crew had just learned that all their advanced technology could be controlled by a civilization they had dismissed as primitive. "The demonstration is complete," Dr. Porter announced. "As you can see, we can selectively target any system on your ships. We can shut them down, control them, or disable them permanently if we choose." The Imperial Command Channel was silent for a long moment. When High Envoy White spoke again, their voice had lost its condescending tone. "How many of these devices do you have?" they asked. Dr. Thompson smiled. "Enough to target every ship in your fleet simultaneously. But more importantly, we can build more faster than you can adapt to defend against them. You can't stop what you can't detect." The Imperial Dawn's commander, speaking for the first time, asked the question everyone knew was coming. "Why show us this capability? Why not simply use it to destroy our ships?" "Because Earth doesn't want war," Dr. Porter replied. "We don't want to join your empire, but we don't want to fight you either." This demonstration was a choice. We chose to show restraint, to prove we can defend ourselves without resorting to destruction. The quantum computers powered down, their work complete. The demonstration had worked perfectly, better than they had hoped. Earth had shown not just technological capability, but wisdom in its use. High Envoy White's next words would determine whether peace would prevail. The Empire had come expecting to find a primitive world ready for conquest. Instead, they had found a civilization that could bypass their greatest defenses, yet chose to demonstrate this power without causing harm. The Empire faced a choice: respect Earth's independence, or risk facing technology they couldn't understand, detect, or defend against. The demonstration was over. Now came the moment of truth. 3 days after Earth's demonstration, the Imperial fleet began to move, not toward Earth, but away. One by one, the massive ships engaged their faster-than-light drives and disappeared into the depths of space. Dr. Porter stood at the window of the Geneva Command Center, watching the last ships depart. "They're actually leaving," he said, almost not believing it. "Not just leaving," Dr. Thompson added, reading from her tablet. The Empire's official declaration just came through. They're recognizing Earth as a sovereign and protected world. No Imperial ship will enter our solar system without permission. The news spread across Earth like wildfire. Celebrations erupted in cities worldwide. Humanity had faced its first interstellar challenge and emerged not just independent, but respected. High Envoy White had delivered the Empire's final message personally. We acknowledge Earth's unique technological achievements and right to self-determination. The Empire withdraws its demand for integration. But in secure facilities around the world, work continued. Dr. Porter knew the Empire's retreat wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. "They'll be back," Admiral Baker said during the final debriefing. "Maybe not to conquer, but they'll want to understand our quantum technology." "Let them try," Dr. Thompson replied with a confident smile. "We're already developing new applications. By the time they figure out how our current quantum systems work, we'll have invented something new." The United Nations established a new agency, the Earth Defense and Development Initiative. Its mission was twofold: protect Earth's independence and advance human technology in new and unexpected ways. News from deep space monitoring stations proved humanity's demonstration had far-reaching effects. Other alien civilizations were taking notice. The story spread through the galaxy. A primitive world had forced the mighty Empire to retreat. "We're receiving messages," Dr. Porter announced one morning, 6 weeks after the Empire's departure. "Other civilizations want to open diplomatic relations, not as conquerors or superiors, but as equals." Earth had earned something more valuable than victory in battle. It had gained respect. The galaxy learned that technological advancement wasn't just about following one path to its ultimate conclusion. Sometimes the greatest innovations came from exploring roads others had ignored. Dr. Thompson's team made another discovery that made the Empire's retreat even more significant. Their quantum technology was stagnant, she explained to the UN Council. They stopped exploring new possibilities centuries ago. They thought they knew everything. Humanity's greatest strength, it turned out, wasn't just their unique approach to quantum mechanics. It was their willingness to question, to explore, to find new ways of solving problems. 1 year after the Empire's departure, Earth launched its first faster-than-light ship. Unlike Imperial vessels, it used quantum field inversion technology. It wasn't as large or impressive as the Empire's ships, but it represented something more important: humanity's first steps into the galaxy on their own terms. Dr. Porter stood in the launch control room, watching the ship disappear into the stars. "We did more than just defend Earth," he said to Dr. Thompson. "We showed the galaxy there's always another way, always something new to discover." The ship's mission was peaceful exploration, carrying scientists and diplomats to meet other civilizations. Earth had learned its lesson from the Empire. True strength wasn't about domination, but about innovation and wisdom. The Empire's attempt to absorb Earth had failed, but it had given humanity something precious: confidence. They now knew they could face any challenge the galaxy might present, not because they were the strongest or most advanced, but because they would always find new ways to solve problems. As Earth's first starship ventured into the unknown, it carried a simple message to the galaxy. Humanity was ready to join the galactic community, not as conquerors or subjects, but as innovators and explorers. The Empire had set its sights on Earth, expecting to find an easy conquest. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, a civilization that would help reshape the galaxy's understanding of what was possible. Earth's warning had been delivered. Its future was secure, and humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning.